start off, basically, to explain to the guest, we're going to have short impromptu speeches anywhere from a minute to 2.5 minutes about the theme, which is the 70s. And I have researched it as of last night because I don't remember the 70s. And there's one reason is because for those years I was in the Navy and disconnected with the 70s. In the latter part of the 70s, I was square dancing, so that's why I'm wearing my boots and things, and the best part is I can still fit in them. Yeah. The bolo tie I left, I have to start taking some brain cells. Anyway, the highlight of my 70s was my daughter was born October 26, 1971. So what I'm going to ask is, what was the highlight of your 70s? Victoria.
Right.
Table topic masters, fellow members, distinguished guests, good morning. What's the highlight of my 70s? I was already in America. Remember, I came in 1968. I've been here for 2 years, and I was driving a Mustang. Remember?
Yeah.
I was driving a Mustang. That's a 302 engine, and it doesn't have where you will know the mileage or the miles, so you can drive from 60 to 120 miles. And most of the time, I was driving 100 miles an hour because I don't have a cruise control. That was the highlight of my 70. It's a 1970 Mustang Grande.
All right.
Really nice car. And I bought it cash out on the lot for $4,500.
Wow.
You know something? Now, when I was driving, of course, 1970, I was teaching, I was going to school, I was doing a lot of things. And I was very active. And that was, how many years ago? Now it is 2015. In 1970, I was 25 years old. Now, I'm very happy to tell you, I am 70 years old.
Yay, the 70s.
So that is the highlight. Thank you.
Okay, psychedelic and color came into the 70s, and one of my favorite memories is putting an 8-track in my 56 Chevy, listening to Kodachrome. So Lois, what would be a memory or a favorite time in your life in the 70s?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Table Topics Master. The 70s. I went through a lot of different experiences during the 70s, and I did not, though, however, experience anything really psychedelic. But the 70s began when I graduated from college, a very conservative college, mind you, and then I started teaching, still very conservative, and then I moved to California, and everything changed. During the mid-70s, I lived in Santa Barbara, and I guess that was my wild time. Even though it wasn't psychedelic, I really had fun during the mid-70s. I spent a lot of time at the beach and partying and just kind of letting my hair down from living this conservative life that I had lived previously. And then as the 70s winded down, I ended up getting married and having my first daughter. So I would have to say that the highlight, though, of the 70s was becoming a mother, having my first child. That was something that I had always wanted to do, and I finally achieved that at the end of the 70s. So the 70s, you know, it was a great period of time for me. I went through a lot of transitions, and I love the 70s with all the different things that happened. Thank you.
Thank you. To tag on that, my best memory is when I saw my daughter for the first time. She is a miracle. Thank God about it. Thank you. All right, now let's go into Apollo 13 was a bad experience in the 70s. Where were you on November, actually in that period of time, that day when you heard that Houston, we have a problem? Let's see, who would remember that? Lois?
She already spoke.
I mean, Roz, excuse me?
Me?
Yes, you? I'm looking through foggy glasses.
I'm looking through Letitia's glasses.
You look so cute out.
Apollo 13.
Madam, or Mr. Toastmaster. See what happens when you wear somebody else's glasses. The 70s is a place, it's a time of a lot of activity for me. It was a time when I got kicked out of college because I couldn't pass this entrance exam. I took it twice. And the second time I got a lower score than the first score. And they said, you can't graduate from here. Eventually I did, but I had to fight for it. It was also the years I went into the Army in 1973. It was also my first time that I went to Europe, where I wound up spending 3 years. I thought the 70s were wonderful. John Travolta, you know, different kind of dances, and I'm a danceaholic and I love to dance. I mean, I had a lot of fun in the 70s. I was doing a lot of exploring. We had psychedelic experiences. I would wear strange clothing, a lot of bright colored stuff. I remember one time I went to school and I had this really bright lipstick, and somebody would say to me, what did happen to your mouth? Try something different, wore different colored clothes, and they thought I was a clown. What can I say? It's tabletop expense.
As far as the culture goes, music was quite different then.
Oh yeah.
Hip hop and hard rock and that kind of thing. So Adam, what do you remember about music in the 70s?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. What do I remember music-wise? Disco and the break light of that, and John Travolta and Saturday Night Live. I learned how to disco dance during that time period. It's probably one of the few dances I actually still remember how to do. It was a time of kind of a reflection. I was in junior high and high school during the 70s, graduated high school, went on to college, kind of discovery and having a psychedelic time of vivid colors. I also grew up in Santa Barbara then, and so remember it well. And just disco dancing was big. It was a big time, and Saturday Night Fever movie was a big movie during the 70s. Mr. Tabletop.
What was that ball called that would circle around?
Disco ball.
The disco ball. Talk about psychedelic time. Hairstyles. What do you remember about hairstyles in the 70s? Let's say, how about Tim? Hairstyles.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. I remember having long hair, and everybody had long hair in the 70s. It was still carried over from the 60s, and I was growing up in the Bay Area, and I grew up halfway between San Francisco and San Jose, and it was really cold and foggy most of the time. And I remember one time sitting in the back on the deck of my parents' house listening to music in a cassette tape player. It was a tape of Journey. Journey is still listened to today. And it was a yellow, smooth, rounded plastic cassette player, and with buttons on the top. And remember sitting out in the back and enjoying the air. And we had a dog, and just hanging out and enjoying life. And it wasn't very psychedelic then, but it was very relaxing and a good time to grow up. Thank you, Tabletop.
At this time, if you want to participate, Kathy and Nick, just let me know, yes or no, now that you've seen what happens, okay? And you probably want to raise your hand if it's a yes, and don't do anything if it's a no. Not today. So let's see. Technology back then. We had the original brick cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody ever see one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask Karen about the cell phones back in the 70s.
That's great, because I'm one of those people who's not tied to my cell phone. I forget to take it with me, I forget to turn it on, I forget to turn it off at times and embarrass myself. Cell phones in the 70s?
Uh-huh.
Did we have any?
Yeah, they were bricks.
Yeah, they were huge.
Yeah, and then they had a, never mind.
So, no, all I can say, I just said an aye, is that I think your cell phone was in your trunk in the 70s. It was that big. You had to put it in your trunk. I had colleagues, this is in the 90s, who were so self-important they had their fax machines in their trunks and would get out and show incoming faxes. Cell phones in the 70s, I can't say too much about them currently because I have an old flip phone. I have no apps, I have no internet, I have nothing on my cell phone except I can text a little bit now as I do, which is convenient. But I'm at a loss for cell phones in the 70s because I don't think we had any.
We don't.
And maybe that was a good thing because maybe that's why the 70s was simpler than things are now.
That's a good point. I had a girlfriend who I met in square dance, and she had a cell phone. It had a pack, like a backpack battery, and then she had to plug it into the cigarette lighter, and I said, "What's that?" She said, "It's a cell phone." And it looked the size of a brick. And she was a nurse, so she had, quote, to have it. Let's see, we can turn the page to something called beanbag chairs. Who knows what that is, and did they have one? Carrie?
I did.
Okay, let's see, you're a speaker, so I'm not gonna pick on you. Carrie, all right, come on up.
She's Carrie.
Julie.
That's Julie.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Mister.
Okay, have fun.
Beanbags, well, weren't those fun? It reminds me of Pac-Man. Beanbags and Pac-Man kind of go this together. I actually graduated high school in 1979, so of course that was the highlight of my 70s and the disco era. And the beanbags, of course, I had two brothers, so we did have beanbags. It was a Christmas delight one year, and we had all kinds of silly games we liked to play, but we were rowdy with our beanbags, and not only would we plop our butt in our beanbags, but we would also take them and clobber each other with them. And so we would have war with our beanbags, and yeah, it was quite a delight. So the 70s was a moment to remember. I can definitely say that there were so many fun things going on during that time. I had a brother that was literally a year and a day younger than me, and his generation was all about country, the urban cowboy thing. And 1 year later, here I am, and we're all about the disco. So our generation was a psychedelic generation, for sure. And his generation was all about the boots and cowboy, urban cowboy business. So those were some delightful memories and times, for sure. And beanbags have a fond memory for me. So that's what I have to say about beanbags.
I'm going to turn the lectern back over to our Toastmasters.